Alright, welcome back everybody. This is the next segment of tutorial videos on how to set up the Rodecaster Pro audio interface. First, we're going to show you how to plug in all the cables, and then show you how to fully interact with the audio interface and all the bells and whistles to fully get it functioning for your podcast. So the first cable is the USB cable, which you're going to want to use if you're going to record any audio into your computer or any sound from the interface to your computer. And next is the power cord, which you're going to want to make sure you screw in completely to the right to be tight. That way, if you nudge it, it doesn't interrupt your podcast or interrupt the audio. And then the next cable, if you're going to use your phone, this is the 3.5mm cable designed specifically for your phone. That way, if you want to record any phone calls or audio that way, you can do it with that cable. And then last but not least, you definitely want to make sure that you are plugging in the power cable to the power supply unit that's going to plug into the wall. That way, everything is powered up and easy and ready for everybody to use. And if you plan on using headphones, this is completely optional. You'd plug it in with the stereo jack on the back of the device, and the numbers correspond to the channel on the audio interface. So to turn on the audio interface, there's a red button on the back right of the machine. You just press that and you'll see the screen turn on. And then as it loads up, if you see green bars going up and down on your screen, that means your microphone is fully functional. And if you do not, you'll want to turn up the gain on the channel that microphone is on, and then to turn it off, you just press the red button again. A screen will pop up asking if you're sure, and you'll click yes, and then the audio interface will be off.
Welcome to the next segment of this training on how to use the Rodecaster Pro audio interface. So I'm really excited to share this with you because there's some really neat features that are geared for anybody to or tailored for anybody to really use this system and audio interface. It's plug and play ready, both for your computer, however you want to record, and also from a production setup. It's very easy to plug and play. So here's what we're going to go ahead and show you. We're going to break down what all these dials are for. We're going to talk about the ports a little bit and the microphones. We're going to talk about how to actually record, different ways you can record. But I want to just go ahead and share something really fun as far as a feature goes. So over here, you're going to notice that there are some buttons, okay? And then you have all these dial knobs, all right? So this, if you had this button down all the way to the lowest setting, you wouldn't be able to hear any of the sound effects that come from these buttons. Now, there's some cool little features here that you can kind of throw into your production and your recording while you're live, so that you don't have to try to add in sound later. So, for instance, we could start the video and we could kind of put some rock music in there. Turn up the volume a little bit, which have some fun with it. Maybe you want to add some applause there if you really want it to get, creative. And then when you're ready to kind of tone it out or dial it back, you can just lower that, or you just press the button if you want to just cold stop it right then and there, right? So it's a fun little feature. So we have rock music. I'll kind of show you. There's laughing. We're done with that. There's funny, not funny. I don't know really what that sound's called, but if you do, you can message me. There's Twilight, kind of like sci-fi. There's also magical. So if you have something magical you want to talk about. Applause. Awesome. Rim shot. When you have a joke that gets out there, right? And crickets if nobody's laughing. All right. So that's just a neat feature I want to share with you here to kind of get things started. It's really easy to use. Now you're going to notice over here that we have some dials, like I mentioned before. But before we go to that, we're going to talk a little bit about the volume adjustments, okay? So there's the volume for each headset that is plugged into the audio interface. Whoever you're recording, whoever you're talking to, you can hear them and they can hear you, but the volume needs to be turned up. So right now, Mr. Eric Tui is actually hooked up to the audio interface. He has his headphones on. We're going to have him speak in just a moment, but we're going to go ahead and turn his volume down. And so right now, if I were to say, Eric, can you hear anything? Can you hear anything, Eric?
No.
I can hear you just great, but you can't hear anything because your volume's turned down. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back up. Now, Eric, can you hear anything?
Much better.
That's good. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that down for just a second. Same thing if you want to adjust the volume. I would not turn this all the way up, but the more you turn it up, the more clear you can hear yourself, which is kind of cool. And you can kind of adjust the gain based on that. So that brings me to my next set of knobs here. So these dials here, this is what's called the gain. This is where the audio interface is actually picking up the audio going into the microphone. So I don't know if you can see this right here, but I'm going to kind of grab Mr. Tui's microphone here, and I'm going to put it in the shot. These microphones, you have to speak directly to the top of the microphone, and it actually says end fire element. This is where the audio is coming in. Now, if you try to speak over here, which I'm going to try and do right here, you can kind of hear me, but it's not as crisp or clear. So do not speak into this portion. Speak directly into the microphone when you're recording, all right? So that's your first clue. Second clue here on how to make sure you're getting sound is making sure that your gains, these knobs, are actually turned up. So right now, if Eric tries to talk really loud, Eric.
Really loud.
So you heard him in my microphone, but you didn't hear him in his microphone, and that's because the gain is turned all the way down, okay? Notice how mine is turned up. Now, for the most part, this gain for microphone 1 will always be at this level. You can turn it up just a little bit more if you want to. If somebody's wants more of that deeper voice, soft-spoken voice, or you can turn it down if somebody's got a really loud voice and they just talk really loud into the microphone. Whatever the case is, that's what your gain is there for. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and turn the gain up to the same level as mine. Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Great. How are you, Chris?
Good, and I think you're getting some of my audio, as you can see on the screen here, you're getting some of my audio into your microphone. So if something like that happens, well, you could, one, just move, physically away from that person, okay, or maybe talk not in their direction if you want to get technical, or you could just turn their gain down a little bit, and that'll help reduce the sound that is coming into their microphone. This is where it might help to have a production assistant later on, but as you get familiar with this, you really don't need that. So all you have to do is just kind of keep it the same level. What I've done in the past is I've used this little mute button. So Eric, start talking. Just start rambling.
Ramble.
And now he's muted, so he can't say anything. He ramble all he wants. But if he keeps saying ramble,
I'm still rambling. Yes, I'm rambling still. I am still rambling.
See? So I just turn the mute, and then he just stops speaking, or it really just shuts him off. And then I turn it back on, and now we can hear him again. That's amazing, right? So that's good stuff. So thank you for playing along, Eric. I appreciate it.
Womp womp.
Oh, what was the... There it is. Womp, womp, womp. All right, we're trying to have a little bit of fun. Okay, so that's what these dials do. It's very easy. You can kind of play with it yourself. And if you're getting a lot of feedback in the other microphone, just turn it down or put it on mute. And then make sure you unmute it if you're trying to, if you want them to talk and you want to record what they're saying. All right, so moving on, there are different ways to record your audio. I'm recording directly with the Rodecaster Pro. And the way it works is there's actually a SD card in the back here that was just pushed in. If you're going to record on the audio interface itself, you're going to want an SD card that is high capacity, so a class 10 or better. I think they only call them class 3 or class 10. There's a certain designation there. But the main point is making sure you have enough memory. I'm going to recommend that you have 128 gigs or better. You probably could do it with less, but what you don't want to happen is you don't want to go through recording the audio and then finding out that half of your show got cut off because you didn't have enough memory on your SD card. So as you can see right now, this is in record mode. It's red. That means it's recording. And it says on here right now with the little red dot and the timer, it says that I'm recording. If I were to press this right now, it would stop recording and it would light green. That's how I know that there's an SD card in the system, in the audio interface. If there's not an SD card in the audio interface, it's going to be blue. And that'll be a problem if you're trying to use the audio interface itself to record. The other way that you can record is you take the USB cable and you plug it directly in your computer, and that'll be a different video to show you how to record on a Mac and also on Windows using a free program called Audacity. It is super easy, it's free to download, and it literally just is plug and play. There's no other drivers that you need to download for that. So blue means it's empty, green means that it's ready to record, red means that you're recording, okay? Next thing I'm going to point out here is this screen. All right, so we have this screen over here. Honestly, if you were to try to mess with the settings, you're going to get lost in the settings. So don't worry about trying to mess with settings. I just pressed microphone 1, I can press microphone 2, and I can play with volume levels and the types of microphones that I'm using. But let's be frank, you don't need to do any of that. And if you do accidentally press one of these buttons, you just hit the little house button or home button, and it takes you back to the main screen. So don't worry about trying to make any extra settings. In fact, if you're trying to make extra settings, just please revert them back to the previous settings. Do not do a factory reset, please, but go ahead and revert them back to the settings that they were before that, okay? So now the next test I'm going to go ahead and do is we're going to play with the cell phone. Let me grab my phone. And Mr. Eric Tui, if I could ask you to please exit the room and make sure you have your cell phone with you, because we're going to do a little experiment, all right? So Eric is going to go ahead and exit the room. Right now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and show you how to link the Bluetooth, okay? So you want to make sure you go to your phone settings. I have an iPhone, for example. So here's my Bluetooth settings. I'm going to go ahead and press this button right here for the Bluetooth, and it's going to let me know that, okay, we're working on pairing. You're going to see on your Bluetooth Rodecaster Pro pop up. You go ahead and touch that or click on that on your phone, and you wait for it to go ahead and connect. And it's a fairly quick process. You don't have to wait too long here. So now it says we're connected, and it says your Rodecaster Pro is now paired to Gonzo's phone. That's my phone. You can hit done or just wait for it to do its thing. So make sure if you are doing a call-in, remember that gain setting. You're going to want to put the gain up on the Bluetooth, okay? So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to call Mr. Eric Tui, and you're going to hear the dial tone in the background, and he's going to answer hopefully in just a minute. And we're waiting.
Hey, Gonzo.
There he is. He's answering. Hey, Eric, how you doing today? It's the Chris Gonzalez Show today with the Anthem Area Chamber of Commerce.
What's going on, Chris?
Not much. Hey, I just want to call you and, number one, test the audio interface, but number two, remind you about your chamber membership. Did you renew your chamber membership yet?
It's actually on auto renew.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for renewing your membership. We really do appreciate you. So I'm going to go ahead and hang up with you. We're going to try calling you again, but we're going to try it with the wired approach. So hang in there, hang tight. Thank you so much.
You remember to keep local.
Keep local, keep strong. All right. Okay, so we ended that call, and to unpair the Bluetooth, you just simply press the Bluetooth, and then on the screen it says unpair. You just press that, and you confirm that you want to unpair, hit yes, and it says done. Awesome. Now, one little tip I'm going to give you here is when you want to connect to Bluetooth again, just make sure you go ahead and you hit the Rodecaster Pro and you do the forget device, whether it's an Android or an iPhone. You do that so that it won't give you problems when you try to link it up. So when it comes to the phone option, there is a 3.5mm jack port on the back, and then you have to make sure that you have the proper connection for your phone. Okay, so I have an iPhone, so I have the iPhone connection. You can, if you have an Android, some of them have the mini USB ports, and some of them have the C connections, like this guy here, right? That's that C connection, okay? But this will be in the audio interface case. You're just gonna plug in your cable to your phone, and we're gonna go ahead and, like I said, go back here, turn that audio gain up, and we're going to call Mr. Eric Tui again and test out this feature. So calling right now, you don't have to select anything else on your phone. Hopefully you can hear the ringtone. Wait for him to answer.
Hey, Gonzo.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Wonderful.
Good, good. Thanks for answering. Thanks for picking up. Do me a favor, though. Remember that in the podcast studio, no food or drink are allowed because we have some very expensive, sensitive equipment. We don't want to ruin any of that, right?
100%.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Well, thanks for playing along. Come back into the room, and I'll go ahead and hang up with you, all right?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, cool. So that was easy. And by the way, we just did that while we were recording live, and we didn't have to try to, finagle that, right? So, I mean, that's good. So a couple other things here I want to go ahead and point out. So on the headphone jack, okay, if you want to use your own headphones to listen to your recording, listen to yourself live, Eric's going to put his headphones on for a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and unplug his for a second. You want to make sure that you have a stereo headphone jack, which is, it's actually a specific size. It's a 1/4 inch, and it's 6.32 millimeters, something like that. But it's important that you have the stereo headphone jack because that's the only jack that plugs into the back. Now you can plug in an audio 3.5mm jack to the front here, down here in this port. That's usually for like a third party that's listening from a production standpoint. But the problem is if you're having somebody try to produce with you, well, they're not going to be able to listen in on that. So we do have 2 sets of headphones that are provided that can go into the back here. So Eric, can you plug that back in? I can't quite see where that is. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn his microphone back on, and there's one more thing I want to kind of share with you. So on my microphone, I'll kind of show you. On my microphone is what's called a pop filter, okay? Eric, can you please speak, please?
Like I said, remember to keep local and no food or beverage allowed in the podcasting studio.
Awesome. Thank you so much for reiterating that. Now, the pop filter is important. Eric does not have a pop filter on his. This is an example of a pop filter, and you will see this attached to the other microphone stand. So I'm going to have Eric just do some snap, crackle, pop sounds.
Snap, crackle, and pop.
Okay. If you heard like the p, right? Like do that part again.
Snap, crackle, pop.
Now do the
Snap,
pop.
crackle, pop.
All right. He just did pop in front of the pop filter, and you notice there's a difference. So go pop and then go pop.
Pop, and then pop.
There's a difference, okay? So it's very subtle, but a pop filter will help you eliminate what are called plosives. So S's and P's will have those plosives. So highly recommend that. To unplug the XLR cable from the audio interface, you press the silver button and you pull. That's all we've got for you. So thank you for playing along and watching this. We really do appreciate the opportunity to share with you all this great information about how the Rodecaster Pro works. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to myself or Mr. Eric Toohey. We can kind of walk you through a tutorial as far as kind of how to get started on separate time. But if you watch these videos, you should be well trained to get started up and running to run your own podcast show. Take care.